Welcome to our viewers. We are going to draw attention to our viewers towards the prevailing politico-economic situation where new socio-economic engineering model is knocking your door by non-biological as well as biological political power centers. Here, in the midst of it, I would like or we would like to draw your attention towards the Hindu GDP growth rate versus Gandhian GDP growth rate. We would like to draw your attention towards this vision, where on the one side is Hindu GDP growth rate, while on the other is Gandhian GDP growth rate. Hindu GDP growth rate starts falling from 8.5% of GDP growth rate of 2014 to come down by 6% of GDP growth rate of 2024. While on the other hand, Gandhian GDP growth rate has started rising from 4% of GDP growth rate of 2004 to touch the highest level or ever the highest level of GDP growth rate by 9.2% of 2008-9. This is the GDP growth rate of Hindu growth rate and vision and Gandhian growth rate vision. The secrecy of Gandhian growth rate vision lies or veers around the truth, love, non-violence, globalization, liberalization, mechanization, computerization under the new economic reforms of Dr. Manmohan Singh ji to bring back the derailed Indian economy on the right track, which symbolizes the holistic and inclusive GDP growth rate. While the Hindu GDP growth rate vision veers around by adopting non-Gandhian economic growth model, by superimposing over it the pro-rich, pro-property, pro-corporate vision, where the not inclusive but divisive economic growth has taken with the rising interest rate, falling private investment, falling private consumption, rising joblessness, rising debt and taxes, etc. This is the reality of Hindu GDP growth rate vision and the Gandhian growth rate vision. Now, PM Modi ji has presented a Viksit Bharat vision for 2047 to make Indian economy with the worth of $30 trillion economy, as he has presented the golden dream in the past to make Indian economy a $5 trillion economy by 2024. What the truth is, up till now, the Indian economy has not touched even 3 trillion rupees. 3 trillion rupees economy in the present context. In the midst of rising huge debt from rupees 50 lakh crores of 2014 to increase massively above to rupees 200 lakh crores debt in 2023 by the end of 2023, where in the midst of it, government claims that per capita income in Indian economy has increased by 37%. But the reality is the per capita debt in the same period has increased massively above to 102% due to rising debt, rising taxes, falling investment, private investment, falling private consumption, etc. This is the situation. While the new economic reforms and new education reforms, we will see that new economic reforms has been brought by Gandhian GDP growth rate followers, where the Gandhian growth rate followers under the leadership of Dr. Manmohan Singh, the ex-PM of India, has brought the declining Indian economy from the right track by bringing the ever highest GDP growth rate of 9.2% in 2008-9. This is the situation where GDP growth rate has not only increased, but the elimination of poverty, elimination of youth unemployment has been also brought to the lower. On the other hand, private investment and private consumption has increased, which stands for inclusive and holistic economic growth. While, on the other hand, the new education reforms policy followers has brought it just to neutralize or to superimpose or to reverse the Gandhian new economic reforms by superimposing the pro-rich, pro-property and pro-corporate concept of RSS educational and economic vision, where RSS educational and economic vision supports the pro-rich, pro-property and pro-corporate class, which has been seen by adopting new education reforms in India, new economic reforms, or by adopting new education reforms, by adopting new education reforms. Why? Non-Gandhian followers have brought a new change in the Indian educational and economic scenario, where out of it a great division has been taken and inequality has become on the top, inequality of income. In the midst of it, the interest rate has become higher, tax rate has become higher, debt rate has become higher, and out of it, the joblessness has touched the higher level, near about 9%, according to a report of CMEI. And also, ILO, International Labour Organization, has also put adverse comment on the prevailing joblessness in India. In this situation, we see that new economic reforms under Gandhian GDP growth followers have brought a highest level of GDP growth rate, inclusive, holistic, economic and educational policy for or to emerge a stronger India, while on the other hand, new education reforms followers have brought a lower GDP growth rate, higher tax rate, higher debt burden, inequality, poverty, and malnutrition in the Indian economy. This is the reality of Indian economy. Now, GST, goods and services taxes, have mainly brought by Hindu GDP growth rate followers with the intention of shifting of taxes in favor of pro-rich, pro-corporate, pro-property class by shifting its maximum burden on the middle and the lower classes. This is the situation. And out of it, we see that out of total Indian population, lowest 50% population are paying more than 65% taxes, while above 10% population are paying only 3% of the taxes, while middle classes of near about 40% paying 32% of the taxes. This type of taxes has become continuously, with the rising GST, gross and services taxes, become a regressive rather than progressive rate of taxation, which have been imposed on Indian economy with the intention of flourishing or to flourish pro-property class, pro-rich class and corporate at the cost of falling private consumption, private investment, higher interest rate, higher debt rate, higher tax rate. This is the situation. In this situation, we also say out of it, the report also says that 1% of the population in Indian economy have become the owner of 40% of Indian wealth, while the lowest 50% of the population have become the owners of only 3% of the Indian wealth. This is a highly unequal, irrelevant, and a wider gap between property and poor classes and middle classes. This type of tax burden puts or becomes regressive rather than progressive, and it has brought a Hindu GDP growth rate falling because of lowest level of consumption, private consumption, and lowest level of private investment. This is the situation. In this situation, we see that the politico-economic situation which has brought a new socio-economic engineering model where caste census has become a tool for redistribution of economic wealth in India by how to rule the roost, to rule over the India by biological as well as non-biological, and in this the RSS ideology followers are also seeking their place, or all of these forces are conflicting to each other to grab more and more political space to rule the roost, to rule the Indian economy. This is the hard reality of Indian economy, and we want to draw attention to our viewers towards such type of GDP growth rate, where Hindu GDP growth rate as well as Gandhian GDP growth rate we have presented before you. So you people should judge what is good in the interest of nation for holistic and inclusive and equalitarian growth rate. Thanks a lot of thanks to my viewers.